On January 15, 1919, at 12:40 in the afternoon, a 50-foot steel tank containing 2.3 million gallons of molasses exploded in the north end of Boston. The resulting wave was 25 feet high. It moved at 35 miles per hour. People could not outrun it. The tank belonged to the Purity Distilling Company, a subsidiary of United States Industrial Alcohol. It had been built hastily in 1915 to warehouse molasses used to produce industrial alcohol and rum, and from the beginning it leaked. Neighborhood children had scraped molasses from the tank's seams and brought it home. Workers at the facility had reported the problem repeatedly. The company had painted the tank brown so the leaks would be harder to see. The tank's walls, an engineering analysis would later show, were about half as thick as they should have been. When it burst, the concussion was heard across the city. The wave of dense, dark syrup moved through the streets of the North End with a force that tore fire station doors off their hinges, knocked a support pillar from the elevated rail line, swept horses off their feet, and collapsed the lower floor of a brick building. 21 people were killed. 150 were injured. Bodies were found buried in the hardening molasses hours later. The cleanup was extraordinary in its difficulty. Molasses, unlike water, does not drain away, it thickens as it cools. Firefighters used salt water from the harbor to dilute it and wash it toward the drains. The effort took weeks. The harbor reportedly ran brown for months. And the detail that has become the story's most enduring coda, that on hot summer days, Boston's North End still smells faintly of molasses, was reported by residents for decades afterward. The legal case was a landmark. The United States Industrial Alcohol Company was sued by hundreds of plaintiffs. The company initially blamed anarchists, claiming the tank had been sabotaged by Italian immigrant radicals. A 3-year investigation found no evidence of this. The court-appointed auditor, after examining thousands of pages of testimony, concluded that the disaster was entirely the result of corporate negligence. The company paid out roughly $1 million in settlements, the equivalent of about $15 million today, making it one of the first significant corporate liability cases in American history. The Great Molasses Flood is often treated as a punchline, and there is no denying the absurdity of death by syrup. But what it actually was, underneath the strangeness, was a story of a company that knew its tank was failing, chose to ignore the warnings, and let 21 people die rather than spend the money to fix it.